Hi, I'm Paul Slattery, and I'm the current DSG Chief of Staff. I'm here with my friend Chief Glowingcrotch today to talk about the fact that I'm running for DSG President. And I think it's important to discuss what it is that actually means, because I think that this race gets loaded with a lot of inflated, self-righteous rhetoric. And having actually been in the office for a year, I think that that's crap. Watching Elliot do his work, I think that there are basically three things that you need to be an effective DSG President. And none of them include a platform full of words like push, encourage, initiate. These are the things you say when you don't actually have any policy ideas. So the three things that I think you actually need are: first, establish relationships with university administrators, which is something that I've picked up over the course of my year. The second thing you need is establish relationships with the trustees. When you get stuck with the administration, your best hope are the 2 trustee meetings that they have over the course of the year. And the third thing that you need is an actual, concrete policy platform. So that's what I want to talk about right now. I think the first thing we need to do as a DSG administration is get auxiliary services off of a cost recovery model. Auxiliary services are your dining, your parking and transportation, your textbook store, basically the things that have a large impact on your life. And what the cost recovery model means is that for every dollar they spend, they have to make $1 off you. If they buy a new bus, that's going straight to your parking tickets. If dining buys new furniture for the Loop or any other dining system, that's going straight to the price of your cheeseburgers. The textbook store, essentially the same thing. So moving them off a cost recovery model and actually getting them onto university subsidies would make student government much more effective next year, because we won't be constantly running up against the limits of these budgets and the trade-offs in these budgets. But now I want to talk about housing. I think the most important thing to remember on housing is that frats and selective living groups add a great deal of diversity and, yes, a great deal of social options to our campus. I think there are ways to increase the social options, but they certainly don't involve eliminating the only social scene that we have at this point. These things would be: first, make blocking more flexible. I think you can expand the size of blocks. I think you can make blocks co-ed, and I think you can make it possible to block between classes. This will give more students the opportunity to live together, and more importantly, it will give them enough social space to host their own parties. I think you also need to expand the availability of theme houses. This too would increase the diversity of campus and the diversity of social options on campus. Finally, I think that you need to have an independent fund that anybody can apply to for programming that doesn't involve alcohol at parties. I think that fraternities can apply to something like this. I think that selective living groups can, and yes, I think that independents can, and I think that's important. Now on to social life. The administration is already fairly committed to building new social spaces, and that's really good. But there are a few things we need to make sure happen when they build those new social spaces. First of all, there needs to not be exorbitant fees. That's a problem that we've experienced with the Nasher and a problem that we've experienced with the von der Heyden Pavilion. Second, they need to be of varying sizes. If they build a space that hosts 400 people, only certain very select groups are going to be capable of renting that space out, and other groups on campus that they're trying to target for social space aren't going to have that opportunity. Additionally, they need to not be an opportunity for student affairs to push their agenda. This is not an opportunity for all of us to party with A-Team, because if we do that, the party will be very, very lame. Additionally, I think that some of these spaces need to be BYOB, because realistically, building a bunch of new bars on campus isn't necessarily going to open up the social scene to a lot of students. The final thing I want to talk about is academics. Now, academics is a lot easier for funding, because people like the provost can throw money into various departments, and it's actually going to faculty as opposed to directly to student life. Here are the things that I think we need to do. First of all, we need department subsidies for independent research and for thesis support for undergraduates. I think it's difficult for undergraduates sometimes to justify spending a summer in Durham or something like that, and we need to actually have money to support them to do that. Additionally, we need department subsidies for professors to hire research assistants who are undergraduates. It's much easier to connect with a professor if you actually have a mutual interest, like a research assistantship, than if you just have to walk up to them. The next thing I think that we need are TKs. These would be fairly cheap. You just fund the departments. It's been a remarkably successful model in engineering, and I think we basically just need the devoted funding within Trinity to do this. Finally, I think we need to have a website where professors and graduate students can post paid and unpaid cooperative research opportunities for students to take advantage of. I think that this would make it possible for students who have research ideas but just don't have any idea how they would possibly connect with a professor or with a grad student to do it. So finally, I'd like to thank you for watching my commercial. I hope that you find it in your hearts to join my Facebook group or possibly even vote for me. I think if you have the time to sit down and watch a commercial about the DSG presidential race, you probably have the time to vote on April 3rd. So please, please, vote for me.